This is Linux in Laws, a podcast on topics around free and open source software, any associated contraband, communism, the revolution in general, and whatever else fancies your tickle. Please note that this and other episodes may contain strong language, offensive humor, and other certainly not politically correct language. You have been warned. Our parents insisted on this disclaimer. Happy, Mum? Thus, the content is not suitable for consumption in the workplace, especially when played back on a speaker in an open plan office or similar environments. Any minors under the age of 35, or any pets, including fluffy little killer bunnies, your trusted guide dog, unless on speed, and cute T-Rexes or other associated dinosaurs. Welcome to Linux in Laws, season 275, episode 26, I think. But having studied computer science and holding a PhD in computer science, that means I'm pretty bad at numbers. Martin, maybe you can help me.
Well, that's what computers are for, right?
Exactly.
Otherwise, you would have studied maths.
Yes. Well spotted, Mr. Mister. Well spotted.
Indeed. Yes.
So, Martin, how are things anyway?
Yeah, not too bad. What about yourself?
Excellent. Can't complain.
Good.
Having done away with the pleasantries, we can now focus.
Oh, you could mention the European election if you like.
Well, I thought we decided not to mention politics. Never mind the war on this podcast.
Oh, okay. All right.
You didn't get the memo from marketing, no? You didn't?
Marketing? Since when do we have marketing?
Martin, I had them about a fortnight ago. Did you fire them once again?
Hopefully, yes.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So there was some strange remark on that memo, as in, here's our last memo and farewell. So I reckon that's a little bit of a hint.
Oh, good.
You can't do this. I mean, seriously. I mean, you know how hard it is to find good marketing people these days.
I don't know.
You just keep firing them, so how would you know exactly?
Well, yes, but the thing is, you don't need much of a let's say degree for it. You can just pick up anyone.
You see, that separates the wheat from the chaff. No, I mean, you need expertise if you want to achieve world domination. No, and we need marketing.
No. You just need you don't need expertise. You just need to be very persuasive, have some kind of economic event going on.
Martin, you are just describing marketing as you speak.
Oh, I thought I was describing some person from history.
Okay, but this is not a show about marketing.
Yeah.
But rather home automation. No, Martin, how did we arrive at this subject? It begs the question.
How do we get onto the subject?
Yes. Okay, we put this into the schedule. Fair enough.
Yeah,
but why?
That's how it only works.
Exactly.
Well, because it's I don't know. I think it's an interesting topic for listeners, for ourselves as well.
Absolutely. So, listeners, if you can't get to sleep, this is really to listen to.
I think they have to listen to the Lightning episodes now. It's far more suitable.
Okay, before Martin enlightens you with the technical details of home automation, we should probably explain we should probably set the scene in terms of explaining what home automation really is.
We can.
So imagine, about 200 years ago, home automation meant basically you would open a door. And you would try to set
No. You wouldn't open the door. Your servant would open the door.
If you had one, yes.
Yes, yeah.
But if you didn't, you would have to do that yourself, right?
The human home automation.
Okay. And then you would go into a dark room and try to find the candle.
No. Again, your butler does that.
If you had one, exactly. Okay, assuming that you are a peasant down in the country.
Okay. Well, you wouldn't have a door then, would you?
Well, that depends. Okay,
Yeah.
jokes aside, so you would be pretty much left to your own devices. But
Mm.
with the advent of affordable hardware, home automation now means basically you can turn on the lights when you're still 20 miles away to scare away the thieves trying to break into your home, or you can actually trying to pour hot water into the tub so that the hot bath awaits you. But don't forget to pray that there's no software or hardware flaw in the home
Mm.
automation system, because otherwise you would be flooding the place.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any automated taps yet, but there probably are some. Yeah.
I'm just the senior man, okay?
Okay, fair enough.
Jokes aside, I mean, home automation can range pretty much from anything like a simple webcam, I suppose, right to coloring the interior lighting systems like to your heart's
Mm.
desire. Is
Yeah,
that
I
a
mean,
fair assumption?
lighting, yes. More obvious ones are things like the heating, the lighting you mentioned, but many home appliances have these things built in now as well, right? Your washing machine can tell you when it's ready, and you can
Okay, but I
program
mean,
your toaster and all this kind of stuff, right?
with the advent of global warming,
Mm.
controlling the heating just means opening the window, no? These days,
Well, not over here, it doesn't. It's bloody cold right now.
you just wait a while, Martin.
Mm. I think
Okay,
you probably have a slightly warmer temperature over where you are. Anyway.
fair enough. Okay, so what are the typical components of a home automation system then? Obviously,
Yeah.
you probably need some sort of hardware
Well,
to run the whole thing
okay.
on.
So it comes back to why are you trying to automate something, right? Is it for let's say convenience or comfort reasons, right? Your temperature and your lighting. Is it for security? So then you would be looking at door locks, cameras. You mentioned alarm systems are also. You can build with many different devices yourself as well, rather than buying something off the shelf and have it all remotely operated. Things like you have sensors for water leaks, anything you can imagine, right? You can
Right.
buy off the shelf pretty much, or you can build your own, I guess, if you're into home electronics as well. But yeah, so those are really the in some of those in home automation terms, sometimes they can refer to as things, right? Things are things you can
I mean,
control, monitor,
with that, like you're not
etc.
too far away from something called the Internet of Things, no? As an
Yeah,
IoT.
yeah. Well, this is why they're called things, right?
Indeed,
Yeah.
Martin, indeed.
Yeah. So I mean, you've got let's say passive ones, which are just sensors, and you have active ones where you can control things with like temperature, lights, switches, any electric sockets as well, right? You can have your
Okay.
socket controlled, so you can plug anything into it that you want to turn on and off. But
And I reckon sometimes actually these two aspects are combined, as in you have active passive
yes, of course, yeah.
components.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, each active component will also have a state, right? It will say, if it's a light switch, it's either off or on, and then it has control aspects, as in which properties does it have to control.
Okay. Okay. Now with the kind of the sensor and the basic hardware components out of the way, you probably need some sort of network that allows these components to talk to each other, I suppose.
Yeah, not necessarily to each other, right? Your door switch doesn't necessarily need to talk to your lighting control, but they do. I mean, most people will. Well, most people. Some people will have an Alexa. Some people will have a Apple Home Hub. There are various of these devices that really control all the individual things, right? Commercial and non. Your Alexa is one of them. Your Apple Home thing, your Google
Okay.
thing. Everybody makes these kind of, let's say, central hub things to control the individual things. And yeah, clearly the Apples, the Googles, they at the same time they're also recording your data, right? Which is where the open source angle comes in.
Yeah, I mean, just to stick to these proprietary systems just for a minute. That sounds pretty scary. Some clouds in some remote part of the world, like Mongolia or California, or whatever, or wherever these clouds are, controlling your home Never mind capturing your
Well,
data.
yeah, I mean, obviously they're not controlling your home as such, but if you, I don't know if this is a thing in Germany, but a lot of people have gone with the Ring doorbell, right? Which is
Like Nest and Friends, that sort of thing?
well, Ring specifically was bought by Amazon, I think.
And I think Nest was acquired by Google some years back.
Yes, yeah, exactly, yeah. Anyway, so, and the reason why these big companies, acquire these these IoT device companies is that they can also use your data at the same time.
Which
So
you
yeah,
may or may not like, exactly.
yes, exactly, yeah, and yeah, I mean the other thing is that say a Ring doorbell, you have to pay a subscription to use the damn thing as well. So.
Very true.
Yeah,
I can't recall actually, and Google, of course, or whatever company controls these things, basically has the full control over that. I can't recall an announcement from Google. I think that was back in the teens, like 2017, 2016, where Google announced basically an end of life for a range of devices, then peddled by Nest. Don't nail me down on the exact year, but effectively that rendered these devices to a kind of to a paperweight because people couldn't use them anymore because Google decided to end of life them. That was that for the devices.
Yes. Yeah. So going back to your original question, yes, you need a central device that controls these the things themselves and gives you access to them should you want to remotely.
That means some sort of, let me guess, some sort of computer running, ideally some sort of open source software.
Oh yes, yeah, ideally.
Because that would allow you to basically do away with these other people's computers, also known as clouds, and do it and control it, of course, yourself.
Yes, yeah. Which is what, kind of the purpose of today's episode is. Yeah.
Very much so.
We don't really want to talk about Amazon Alexa.
No, we don't. Never mind how much. Never mind. Exactly. Never mind how much money they probably will put on the table, but we haven't received emails from them yet. I think.
No, as far as I know. Yeah.
Anyway, going back to the open source angle. So, I reckon. I mean, the components range from simple stuff, as in how to control your webcam, I reckon, to the much more sophisticated stacks, like controlling your lighting, controlling your door locks, controlling your heating, controlling your windows and what have you. Maybe even controlling the robot that mows your lawn.
No, the robot mowers, they kind of are pretty simple devices. They just use their own built-in simple algorithm to go forward, run into something, turn around, some kind of degrees, and keep doing that until you run out of battery, basically, or you find nothing else to mow.
So there's no point in trying to even convince them basically to venture into the house to give the dog or the cat a shave.
No.
Even if you're glad to do so.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
They're usually bound by some boundary wire where they don't go over. That's kind of how those.
Okay.
They're quite simple, really.
Fair enough.
Unless the technology moves on, and that's how they used to work.
Okay. So how would you typically assemble a home automation system? Basically, I think you would start with at the planning phase, basically where you decide on what can be automated and what do you want to automate in the first place.
Well, yeah, exactly. First of all, what do you want? What do you want to automate? Right? There's no point in automating something if you don't care about your lights coming on automatically or stuff like that, right?
So you sit down and basically you decide on how to automate, or rather to automate in the first place, your windows, your lighting systems, your heating, to name probably some popular examples.
Yeah.
And you want to throw in security, a parameter is security in the first kind of from that angle. So you basically throw a couple of webcams into the mix so that you have at least a basic plan, layout, whatever you want to do with the whole shebang.
Webcams are obviously quite useful and have many different other advantages, but if you talk about the security angle, then there are things like simple window and door opening, closing sensors, right, which give you the benefit that if you're say you're in Munich rather than home in Frankfurt, then your door opens, then you know there's something fishy going on, right? Presumably, unless your cats open it. But
or the electronic key that is used has been authorized, that sort of thing.
Yes, indeed, those kind of things. So
otherwise, you can set the guns blazing. No.
Well, yeah, you could obviously go down with some countermeasures if you wanted to automate it as well.
Indeed.
That might be classed as illegal in the European Union.
Yes. I mean, you could do it on your own premises, no?
Yeah, I think you may need to put a sign up saying if you walk through this door unauthorized, you may be electrocuted. I think it may be okay, then I'm not entirely sure. Don't hold me to that one.
Exactly, on a good day. Otherwise, you simply will be shot. Exactly. So whatever you want to do, don't enter that premises without an authorized key. Exactly.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Now that you have done the planning, what then? You have to buy, of course, the kit.
Yeah, and so yes, buying the kit. So do you want off the shelf? Do you want simplicity? Do you care about open source? Yes, no, but that's your first decision, right? Most people now here will do that. So we ignore all the commercial options. But yeah, then you also have to think about when you're buying kit, what type of protocol are these things going to use, right? Because there are options of how they're going to communicate.
Let's take Philips, because it's a Dutch company. He said with a smile on his face. As an example. I mean, the last time I looked at this, they were peddling a range of light bulbs that could be dimmed, of course, but that also could change color. And much more importantly, that had built in some sort of SoC device that could talk some sort of wireless protocol.
Yeah. I think it's called Hue or something, the Philips stuff, isn't it?
Yes. So let's take this as one example. So we have bought the kit. You probably have set aside some sort of computer running some sort of overall server software or front end or whatever you want to call it that controls the whole setup.
Yeah.
And what then?
Well, then you... sorry, how did we get into this? I thought we were talking about protocols.
No, I mean, okay. No, I'm just taking that light bulb as one use case, as one example.
Okay.
So you would have to set up a machine that would run some sort of software, Home Assistant, or much more importantly, OpenHAP. I think it's called. Yeah, it's called. I think it stands for Home Automation Bus or something like that. I mean, these systems are pretty much like women, cars, or men. They, on the surface, they may be different, but essentially they do one thing, and one thing comprehensively, namely control your kit. No, gather data, control your kit, and then allow you to do that from afar, or actually while you're on the premises.
Yeah. I mean, in the Philips example, they have a bespoke device you could buy as well, right? So they're usually called bridges or hubs or whatever they're called. Individual manufacturers call them, but you could buy a device off the shelf that does the controlling part for you. But then you're stuck with their bespoke software and all that kind of stuff, right? So yeah, if you want to do it the DIY way, then you just use your own piece of hardware and install your own software on it, and have some kind of receiver piece for whichever protocol you're using. But obviously, if you're using Wi-Fi or something, then you don't need to do that. But many different options there.
Okay. Naming. Is it fair to say, as I said, I wouldn't call myself an expert on the home automation wireless protocols, but would it be fair to say that the most popular protocol would be Zigbee? Or protocol suite, let's put it this way.
Yeah, it's certainly very popular amongst the let's say the many of the things makers. There are. I don't know if it's bigger than Wi-Fi or not. There are many Wi-Fi devices out there as well, right? And yeah, with Wi-Fi you have there are some downsides and some upsides, but yeah, the reason for the Zigbee protocol is there are reasons why that was built, and there's some others as well, right? I mean, you also have Bluetooth devices, you have Z-Wave as well, and so on. But yeah.
So Zigbee to me sounds like, on the surface, sounds like a mesh protocol that is low energy but covers an awful lot of the stack, right? In contrast to ordinary Wi-Fi, let's put it this way.
Yeah, these are some of the reasons for choosing for Zigbee is the one is the energy consumption piece, for example, right? So if you think about your thing, right? Your thing is going to be electronic based, so is it going to be mains powered? Is it going to be battery powered, right? So then, if you are in a place where you don't want to have a lot of cabling to your device, then you may choose a battery operated device, right?
Of course, yes.
Like a door switch or a window switch or something like that. And that's where these low energy protocols come in, like Zigbee. But the other plus side of something like this is that if you let's say you have a reasonably sized house, right, and you're going to automate many things, then you're going to be using up a lot of Wi-Fi bandwidth and addresses if you were to do that with Wi-Fi devices.
Exactly. Plus, you have probably to address the roaming issue in terms of, especially if you have a large premises, you probably will not get away with a single access point. So you automatically talk kind of mesh, and like in repeaters and handover and roaming, all the rest of it. So you might as well use a protocol suite rather than doing it yourself that does that out of the box for you. And if I understand this correctly, I mean, Zigbee is part of the 802 protocol suite. So it's on the surface, it looks to me like it's a mesh protocol aimed at IoT devices, which of course is home automation all the way.
Correct. Is that there's also Z-Wave, which is similar, but I don't think there's Zigbee seems to be the main stand of the actual things that you can get out there. So I'm sure there is some Z-Waves as well, but it seems to be that Zigbee is the main player in that area.
Okay, now having spent a fortune on Philips kit, having bought these 20,000 light bulbs,
I wouldn't buy Philips kit personally because it's very expensive, as you said.
And of course, Martin, it's Dutch, right? So
it is.
Why bother? Exactly.
Probably very reliable and excellent in quality.
But very expensive too, exactly. Like other bulbs coming from Holland, but that's beside the point.
Indeed.
Okay, back to the issue at hand.
Yes, the issue at hand.
Okay, so you've bought the light bulbs, Philips or not. You discovered that they, in contrast to your impression that they actually talk Zigbee. Now what? You have probably set up a machine with, say, let's assume OpenHub. We're going to go into the technical details in a minute, where Martin talks you through the low-level setup for the next 2 hours. I'm joking. No, jokes aside. Now, I mean,
Java build process.
Exactly. So, I mean, you have to. I mean, these bulbs speak Zigbee, but then you have to do something, I reckon, on the server side, right? So you have to make sure that the kit that is actually running the server is able to speak Zigbee. I think there are ready-made modules for this. So let's assume that you are using a NUC or some sort of single-board computer. I reckon that you can simply plug a Zigbee module into this, and then it's part of the mesh network, right?
There's Zigbee USB antennas, right? So you can that's what I've used as well. It's a very simple device, but it does mean that it's similar to a Wi-Fi antenna. You can speak Zigbee with it.
And I reckon it's supported by the kernel because it's an open source protocol. So all that is left to be done is basically to configure the home automation software that there are a couple of light bulbs.
Yeah, Yeah. Well, I'm on the light bulb front. Buying light bulbs that are smart or whatever you want to call them is expensive. So instead, what you could do is just get the switch itself automated. So you just have your on-off facility. You don't have the fancy colors, but you don't. You don't spend a fortune on light bulbs. Which, if they die, you have to buy a new light bulb at a very high cost.
So how does this switch thing work? There's a little imp inside the switch that constantly listens to a radio device powered by Zigbee, and once he or she or it reads on a tiny screen that the switch is supposed to go on, it simply flicks it from the inside. Or how does it work?
No. I mean, there's many different ones, right? If the simplest ones are really just something that you open up your light switch, you wire it up inside. It obviously has its Zigbee transmitting capability, and then your actual physical light switch is now a smart light switch, right?
But you can buy ready-made ones too. I mean, you don't have to do it yourself. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it all comes down to I guess cost and but also physical appearance. Do you want to, for example, let's say, make it clear that you have these things automated or not, or if you want to kind of hide them, or not hide them, but keep it your own business. Let's put it that way.
Right. So, and then you have to tell the home automation server that you actually have now a couple of light bulbs or switches or whatever that need controlling.
Yeah.
So you sit down for about about 5 to 10 hours, edit YAML files, and then
no,
more gray here.
And you can you can edit YAML files if you want to, but
no, the point I'm getting is as in how much is the software able to do on its own? And for example, does it support auto discovery? For example.
Oh yes.
Oh, it does. Okay.
So your auto discovery will go in. Well, there's so OpenHAB is not just Zigbee, right? It can do many different other things, but one of the things it can do is do a Zigbee adapter, right? So
okay.
Your Zigbee adapter will listen. So you've got your Zigbee listening device, and it will listen to Zigbee things, and the Zigbee things will tell the receiver, oh, I'm a light switch. I have these properties. I have these sensors. I have these properties, and it will then come as a configured thing into your OpenHAB environment, for example.
Okay.
And the nice thing about OpenHAB is that it supports many of these different devices. And let's say interfaces, bridges. It's not just Zigbee stuff. It is a very widely supported general central piece of software that you use. Yeah, if you're using Zigbee, if you're using Wi-Fi, if you're using Z-Wave, all these things can are supported. And if you look on, for example, on their homepage, they support 3,000 things, right? So which are made by many different people.
Okay.
So out of the box, which is nice.
So let's use the Vista Home as a primary use case here. What have you done apart from kind of say automating the cat and the dog? No jokes aside. I mean, just give us a brief overview of what it looks like on the inside, and much more importantly, how difficult was it to set up that system using OpenHAB?
Yeah. So okay. I mean, my reasoning for this was mainly the security angle. So we have an old-fashioned alarm, which is kind of you have to turn on when you leave the house, and then it makes a lot of noise and nobody pays attention. Okay. So when it does, or when the spider walks over one of the sensors,
spider, okay,
pointless.
Wow.
So instead, I went for more, rather than buying something off the shelf. What can I do? In a DIY fashion. So a bunch of door sensors, window sensors, light switches. Those are the main things so far I've done. And yes, so okay, so the hard part is the physical installation sometimes, where
Okay.
you have to think about ranges and thickness of walls, and where is my receiver, where's my mesh, right? So it's in all houses that can be tricky, and the actual OpenHub configuration is nice because you can script a lot of stuff, right? So you can make your own rules, and you can do your own cron jobs and all this kind of stuff, right? So you're basically making your own rules how to control these things, rather than through, say, a bespoke piece of off-the-shelf kit that will say, oh, you can have on-off. You know what I mean, right? So if you have a piece of software that someone else has made, then you have a limited range of modification, and here it kind of comes down. You can do your own programming to deal with the behavior of these things. It comes with a nice UI as well if you don't want to do any command line stuff. But, and it's got all these nice bindings as well. So
and the cron job and the cron jobs take care of basically alerting you, for example, so you get an email saying that about 2 weeks ago somebody broke into your home.
No, that's not the cron job. So let's say your thing has a state, right? So, for example, a switch can be on or off. Then you can, on a state change, you can trigger something, and then it's up to you what you trigger to be the action, right? So, there are also bridges to MQTT, so you could use your favorite messaging system to communicate with other things. But yeah, you can make it as complicated, as simple as you want to. Obviously, you can go out to SMS bridge, or you can go to email bridges, whatever you want to, right? Or you can turn some great big light on the outside of your house. It's the possibilities are endless if you have your own, let's say, programming facilities in there.
I'm wondering if there are, for example, also covers some sort of sophisticated interfaces, like a piece of kit that is able to talk to a tank, so you can set the tank in motion to scare away the thieves.
Yeah, I mean,
or the raiders.
If the let's say you have all your things are in your OpenHub system, right? So whatever properties they have. So, for example, on a let's say your door sensor goes, and you can obviously set different conditions or time limits. If it opens at 3:00 in the morning or in the daytime, you have different rules, etc., etc. Fine. But if you also then have let's say you have a smart speaker, right? So when your door opens 3:00 in the morning, you turn your smart speaker on, or your television, and make a lot of noise, for example, to wake everybody up. So
the tank.
Yes, the tank is another option, as long as it's part of your open.
So the tank actually can stay in the garage. It's sufficient actually to play the sound of a tank starting up. Okay, I see your point.
Well, that works. Yeah, if you have your let's say your imagination is the only limitation.
Absolutely. And the software pulls all of these devices actively, or these motions or these sensors actually push something towards the server? How does it work?
Yeah, the sensors push things, right? If there's, for example, like a state change, right? So, but if it's but it can also be the other way around, right? For a light switch, you can have your cron job running, to put it simply, to turn it on and off at certain times, and then it obviously pushes a message to the device. And which is so possibilities are endless, right? But it's kind of in a way it's a very and this is where I think you mentioned. Did we mention the other thing? Home assistant.
We did, yes.
Yeah, which is another. It's a similar kind of, let's say, controlling piece of software.
But in contrast to OpenHub, is actually written in a real language called Python. Where OpenHub, I think, is written in Java. If I'm completely mistaken.
It is written in Java. Yeah.
So how difficult was it? Was it to set up a whole OpenHub? I mean, can you install it from a repo, or do you have to compile it yourself, or how does it work?
They have, I think, pre-built jars. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's you don't have to do. Oh, did I have to do a Maven build? I can't remember now. Anyway, it
So all
wasn't very
you, yeah.
difficult. Yeah, yeah.
So all you need is essentially either a Java built environment or some
Hmm,
newer or more
exactly.
modern
Yeah,
JDK. Okay.
yeah. Correct.
Or
Correct.
even JRE. Okay, fair enough. I mean, as we all know, Java comes with its own set of challenges. Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
Um,
But the nice
but
thing is that it's a very mature
okay,
piece of software, so you don't actually have to worry about the underlying implementation technology. It's not like it doesn't have all these components like say a Big Blue Button does. Right? So they're written in 10
okay,
different languages, so
right.
it kind of just works, which is nice.
So all you have to do
Um,
is basically ensure that there's sufficient hard disk space, like a couple of terabyte and a couple of gigabytes, as in at least 128. Because as we all know, Java is very memory hungry. No, I'm joking, but I mean, just to get an impression, how many sensors are you controlling with the whole thing, and what sort of hardware are you using to run this on?
how many sensors? Maybe a dozen or so.
Okay,
I'm
not
just
that many.
using it. I'm just really using OpenHAB on one of my existing machines. It doesn't use,
Okay,
it's a very simple piece of software in a way. It has a GUI with it, so that needs a bit of rendering. But apart from that, it's
I thought it was yeah.
yeah. The other, I mean, it's pretty advanced or pretty advanced. It's what you expect, right? It's not just for example, it also comes with a phone app that runs on Android and on iOS and whatever. So you can, it basically runs a little server which you can talk to over HTTP, right? And you have authentication, money, all that kind of stuff.
Okay,
So that makes it, you can control it from any web page as well. So it's also remotely accessible that way. So you
very
can actually,
important if you're out and about. Exactly, yes.
yeah. So you can change your rules or that's when you want to.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And
and
I mean,
switch things from
yeah.
state as well. So, yeah.
And you don't have to go to the command line, so you can do it simply through the web UI.
Yeah, and through the web UI, you have these things called rules where you just basically write your logic in choice of language. There's a few available, but
Okay. And
uh, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, okay.
And what do you think are the downsides of OpenHAB or home automation system in general, apart from setting it up
Hmm.
and the complexity of running it, of course?
I don't think there's any complexity. But once it's all set up, you
Hmm.
occasional update should you want to. But again, OpenHub is version 4 point something right now, so it's not as though you have to keep updating it to get bug fixes and patches every day
Okay.
or whatever like that. It's yeah. So I mean, the plus sides are if for which reason you're doing it, right? I mean, there's also clearly some people are doing home automation for energy reasons, right? So they can control their heating better, etc. But also you get your monitoring as well, right? So what's more
Yeah.
for some people more interesting is that you can obviously start collecting all your data on all your devices and use that for other purposes
In
than just
contrast to exactly to Google or the bookshop doing it for you, right? Exactly.
yeah. Hmm. Um, yeah, so yeah, then it comes a bit of data analysis. It's like, where can I,
Mm.
how much am I using of this, or and so on, and
So,
go from there.
in addition to collecting the whole thing,
Hmm.
does OpenHAB or some of the software support some sort of export interface, or do you have to go into the nitty-gritty weeds of the database to extract it yourself?
Well, it doesn't come with its own database, right? So this is where, you write your own. Well, obviously, it needs a database for the rules and all that kind of stuff,
Hmm.
but that just lives on some. It's probably a SQLite or what I imagine, but I don't know the exact details. But
Okay.
it's basically a built-in type storage methods for the configuration of the thing. But so this is where you want to build your own, let's say, you can build your streaming data solutions with a Kafka or with RabbitMQ, use whatever database at the back end and start doing it that way, right? So this is where it's quite nice to have all these interfaces. I mean, for example, the bridge to MQTT is really nice. So then you can pick it up from there and write it to a RabbitMQ stream or something like that.
Okay. So
use these kind of things. So it's
I see. So it does support some sort of rudimentary API or interface, basically, that allows you to extract that data.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So all that is required then basically do some Excel magic, so to get some stats of how your rating is doing and how to improve that.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't quite go as far as Excel. There are some really good open source data analysis software out there. And visualization.
Mr. Visser just passed the test, people. In case you're wondering. Excellent, Martin. Okay.
I don't even have an Excel license anyway.
Martin, I was joking. Of course, you can use LibreOffice and some other fine piece of floss software for that. Exactly.
Indeed.
Now, for the uninitiated, how difficult was it to set this up?
Which bit? Sorry.
No, okay. Once you have the physical hardware in place, how difficult was it to set up the whole system?
Well, as I said, it's you have your you have to discover your USB Zigbee receiver device, and then that's clearly then that's then recognized by OpenHub, and it will start. You can do a discovery process in OpenHub to see what Zigbee devices I have, what Wi-Fi devices do I have, and so on. So it will just go and look for what you have in your house, and then from there on you start doing the programming bit, what you want to do with them. I mean, there's all these fancy stuff about where you can do layout of your home and floor plans and all the kind of stuff, which gives you physical or gives you a map of the physical layout and so on. But I didn't go that far. I mean, I know what my house looks like. I know where each and every device is.
Okay.
That obviously is more suitable for an industrial application, but
So should you ever get lost in your home, you're still lost because you don't have a map on your mobile phone because you didn't develop this feature.
Indeed.
Is that what I'm hearing? Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could always basically put printed maps close to the main entrance so that people don't get lost or something. Just in case.
Yeah. Find the front door. Yeah.
Exactly. For those few listeners who haven't been to the Visser household, it's amazing. It's not quite picturing the whole thing. I mean, you can get easily lost, and should you come across some dog skeleton, you know why.
Yeah.
Anyway, maybe you should rethink this mapping feature thing.
Yeah. Think about it. Yeah.
No, bottom line, I mean, the last question that I would have basically is why did you decide to do this? Just for security reasons, mostly, or just not? I mean, because clearly not for mapping reasons.
It's a bit not for mapping reasons. No, it was a bit of both, right? As I said, it's one is security when you're away, which is always a problem in Birmingham. So,
I see.
The old-fashioned alarms just are pretty useless. So. And then the other side is it's quite fun to tinker with these things. So.
Okay, excellent. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up? Come to the feedback and the boxes and that sort of thing.
I mean, there are many. There's lots of information out there on these kind of things, how to get started and which ones to choose and all that kind of stuff. which devices are available as well, right? There's lots and lots of stuff out there. So yeah, easy enough to get started. Make your own choices. Yeah. So nothing to stop you from doing it. But yeah, you have to obviously have a reason, as you said, to go that route rather than just messing around with things, unless you want to do that. But it was overall pretty easy and fun activity, rather than just buying some Google Home kit or something and using all the stuff off the shelf. Get your data nicked at the same time.
Exactly, I see the point. Details of how you get started may open up in the show notes. Okay, I think we have some feedback.
Yes, I believe so. Indeed.
So let me read this, or you want to do the honors? I'm happy either way.
Oh, I don't mind. I have it open.
Perfect.
So this is feedback from Coco, who has written in before.
Again, exactly.
Yes. And his feedback is titled, "Hello again. Hello, Chris and Martin. Currently, I'm listening to a stick insect show, and I just fell onto the floor laughing in a cafe." Yes, I'm trying to remember as well when this was.
That was kind of 247 years ago or something like that. Anyway.
He's clearly catching up on the episode. Anyway, he fell on the floor laughing in a cafe, and people think that he's crazy, which is...
People do think about that, about us that way too, I suppose.
Yes, I suppose.
I hope, anyway.
Anyway, then he goes on to say, "I'm in Mexico City right now, and
scary shit, man! You want to get out of there?
Why are you there? Yes, don't you have some Mexican connection as well?"
I can't really talk about this.
Okay, fair enough. Anyway, he tried to find the local log in Mexico City, but didn't have any luck.
No surprise there, because they may all be dead.
Well, I don't know. Is the log just some undercover operation for other activities?
No, probably. Maybe in Mexico City. I don't know. Anyway, okay. Yeah. Enough morbid jokes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he found the show on mobile devices, Android, particularly interesting.
There you go.
He even went as far as buying a phone in Mexico, which apparently acts weirdly.
No surprises there.
Yeah,
man, you want to get out of there just in case.
And Mexico City is full of cameras, apparently.
Yes.
There we go. Well, I think most cities are these days. That's probably not.
Coco Boy, thank you very much for your feedback.
Yes, indeed.
I think we're looking at the next. What was his name again? Biku, right?
Yes, Biku. Yeah, I don't know what happened to Biku.
Yeah, he vanished
for a while. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
Excellent.
Okay, and now on to the boxes, Mr. Lister. What's your box?
Oh, the boxes. Yes.
Yes.
You want to go first?
There's I wouldn't say tiny brewery up in the north of Germany.
It's like one.
There's many, but in contrast to the other breweries, they do a range of excellent beers. I discovered a pale ale called Atlantic Ale about 10 years ago. It has since then been one of my favorites, to be honest.
You do like your IPAs, don't you? Yes.
Yes. Where did you try it too, right? When you were in Frankfurt, I think.
Yeah.
Exactly. It wasn't quite an IPA, but it's kind of halfway between a pale ale and an IPA. And the guys who were there last weekend brought a crate of black beer from Störtebeker as well, and this is really marvelous stuff. It's almost like a stout, but much more on the hoppy side.
Okay.
Groovy beers. Links, of course, within the show notes. Störtebeker, again, if you're listening, if you want to hear your name more often on the show, send us mail.
Very good.
Over to you, Martin.
My box of the week is the Carnegie Mellon University, for reasons that they have actually put a lot of their courses on the internet.
So Martin.
In your spare time, if you're bored, you can
are they free?
Catch up on the. Yes, indeed. Yeah.
They're free. Do you know what project comes from CMU?
Oh, many.
Particularly talking about free and libre and open source software.
Oh, many.
Yes, but one project made in particular, if you're talking operating systems.
Oh, operating systems.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
Man, what's the thing?
No, I mean they do a lot of open source
They do, yes. No,
projects for
the
many
thing,
different things, but
the
yeah.
thing that Martin is referring to or is trying to allude to explain is actually called it's a microkernel architecture called Mark III.
Okay.
And why is that so important?
Well, they have an operating systems course as well
Yes,
on there.
but
Yeah,
you're looking at kind of early 90s now,
Okay.
when this whole thing was really published, but they started developing this kind of earlier than that. And Steve Jobs took a very serious look at said architecture when he was looking for an operating system called NextOS, as an operating system for his line of Next computers.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing really got famous when he went back to Apple, took took over the reign once again. And if you take a very close look at something called OS X these days, and that has been the case for the last at least 15, 20 years, at the very bottom, beneath
Oh yes.
FreeBSD
Yeah.
components, all the rest of it is
Yep.
actually a heavily modified Mark III kernel running still. Needless to say,
Okay.
that also goes for iPhones, because you are looking at the very foundation of both operating systems now,
Mm.
as in iOS
Excellent.
and OS X. And it all started at CMU, way back
Mm-hmm.
in the days.
Nice. But yeah, as I said, they've uh, lots of their courses are out there just for doing in your spare time, should you want to.
Indeed. Links, of course, will be in the show notes. And with that, Martin, see you around.
Yes.
This is the Linux in-laws.
You come for the knowledge.
But stay for the madness.
Thank you for listening.
This podcast is licensed under the latest version of the Creative Commons license, type Attribution Share Alike. Credits for the intro music go to Blue Sea Roosters for their song Salute Margaret, to Twin Flames for their piece called The Flow, used for the segment intros, and finally to Celestial Ground for their song Sweet Justice, used by the Dark Side. You find these and other ditties licensed under CC at Jamendo, a website dedicated to liberate the music industry from choking copyright legislation and other crap concepts.